a mixed consortium where we have both funding agencies, companies, universities, associations, innovation actors. We have a very mixed team of partners that are implementing this project and initiative, because the main goal of Enriching Brazil, that is the European Network of Research and Innovation Centers and Hubs in Brazil, is to become the main hub and contact point for European and Brazilian science, technology and innovation actors. We do work on some key areas that are the key target areas that the European Union and Brazil have in common as common interests, and specifically in this case, we have the bioeconomy and renewable energies as the main areas that this tour is focusing on, and the areas that we are focusing on to connect actors and to develop business and innovation actions internationally. So Enriching Brazil is in fact an association. It's in the last final phase of being legally implemented in Brazil as an association, as a long-term initiative that was started by the European, an initiative funded by the European Union, but is now being established as an independent legal entity, an association that is accredited by the European Union and ready to develop the services and to have the structure and the network, the community as we call, to really support all the Brazilian and European actors in terms of reaching the Brazilian and the European market in different sense, to internationalize, to find reliable innovation partners, funding schemes, and many other services that could serve you as in the process of internationalization. So we have our headquarters in Brasilia since 2017 inside the CNI building, the National Confederation of Industries in Brazil. So we are also very connected to the business and industry sector in Brazil. As I mentioned, we have different services that we offer for these partners. One of them is, for instance, this innovation tour, matchmaking events. And the general idea of the center is already here presented. I can give you here all the contacts of our network, which we highly recommend that you follow us, that you stay tuned to our website, subscribe to the newsletter, and check always our social media accounts, Twitter, Facebook, and LinkedIn, because we are always organizing services, trainings, webinars, a lot of interesting information that you can find available when you think about internationalizing. Please also do feel free to contact us after the webinar and we can further explain how this Enriching Brazil initiative can support you in your journey of internationalization. So, following the idea today, that is to present also to you one of our services, that is the Innovation and Matchmaking Tour to Brazil, that will be held in September, as I mentioned. I will ask now that Felipe Casapo could talk a little bit for us today about the Brazilian state of Paraná, facts and figures about the state of the Iguaçu waterfalls. Felipe.
Hello, I think that everybody can hear me, right?
Yes.
That's nice. All right, so hello, Carolina. Hello, Luis, hello, Isule, hello to everybody who is participating right now to this webinar. Thank you so much for the opportunity of investing 10 minutes with you guys to present a little bit of the state of Paraná and what we do here, and invite you to join us and innovate with us here in the state of Paraná with this innovation tour. So in the next 10 minutes, I'm going to introduce you to a few facts and figures, numbers, show some pictures also of what is the state of Paraná, what we do. Of course, 10 minutes is quite short, so I won't have the opportunity of getting into too much details, but you will have access to my presentation afterward, where I've prepared a lot of information that may be useful for you guys. So this is the overview presentation on the state of Paraná. My name is Philippe Casapo, and I'm both an innovation manager at the Federation of Industry in the state of Paraná, and also a member of the National Association of Research and Development Innovation, Brazilian Innovation, which is called the ANPEI. So this is the Brazil you may already have heard about, you may have seen that in a movie or maybe in a book, a wonderful, colorful country. On the top left here, we have the Carnival of Rio de Janeiro. We are here on the bottom left, the Bahia de Guanabara with the Christ Redemptor of Rio de Janeiro. And here on your right, you can see the wonderful Iguazu Fall, right? These are the biggest, actually, waterfall in Latin America. But today, actually, I would like to introduce you to another side of Brazil, another perspective on Brazil and on the state of Paraná, which is the perspective on science, technology, and innovation. So I've prepared a few pictures here of a startup accelerator at the Federation of Industry in Curitiba. This startup that you can see right here works with augmented reality and virtual reality for improving the quality of processes, industrial processes. I will show you a few more information on that afterwards. The other picture you can see here on your right is only one of the turbines of Itaipu hydroelectric power plant. This is actually the largest hydropower plant in the world. It's a really impressive work of engineering, science, and technology, and it's very linking to the overall initiative of renewable energies in Brazil. I will also show you a few more information on that afterwards. And so in order to do so, first, I'd like to share with you a few information about Brazil and then go into detail in the state of Paraná. So you have to remember that Brazil is really a very big country. If we would put Brazil, the map of Brazil, over the map of Europe, we would basically go from Iceland to Tunisia, so cover basically most of the country of the European Union. And Brazil is actually the 5th largest country in the world with 8.5 million square kilometer, a population of 2,010 million inhabitants, and it's the 8th GDP of the world with $3.2 trillion. Now to zoom in on the state of Paraná, so this is the state of Paraná where we're going to handle the innovation tour, and where also we will have the International Conference of Innovation of ANPEI. So the state of Paraná is actually bigger than some of even the countries of the European Union. It's a 2,000 square kilometer country, so it's bigger than Portugal or bigger than Greece. It has a population of 11 million inhabitants, and it's the 5th GDP in the country with $402 billion. Here you have a few more data on the quantity of industry that you have in the States, and also the quantity of worker that we have. But afterwards, I will let you go into further details. I have some information on the economic perspective of the Paraná for you guys also. I'm not going to enter into too much details, just maybe comment 3 data to just give you an overview of what is the state of Paraná in terms of gross production. So it represents, you can divide this number by 4 in order to have that in euros. So it represents 50 billion euros of gross production, more or less 55 billion euros in terms of net sale revenues, and an industrial transformation value of more or less 20 billion euros. So it's quite an intensively industrial and also agribusiness oriented state with a lot of development going on. Now in terms of balance trade, I've prepared also some data for you guys. So you can see that the balance trade of the state of Paraná is positive. We have a surplus actually of balance trade of more or less $8 billion as we export 20 billion to mainly China, Netherlands, Argentina, the US, and Paraguay, and we import more or less $12 billion from China again, the US, Argentina, Germany, and Mexico. So I'm not going once again to enter into too much detail, but afterwards you will find down this slide the description of the main goods that we import and export, and the kind of relationship that we have with the rest of the world from an economical perspective. So these are a few pictures of the main cities of the state of Paraná. I've circled here in red the cities you will visit during the innovation tour. So Foz do Iguaçu, which is the home place of the cataract, the falls of Iguaçu, right, that I've presented before, and also the home place of Itaipu, the famous power plant I've just presented before also. And you also go to Curitiba, which is the capital city of the state and the major actually city of the state. It's good also to remember there are plenty of other interesting big cities in the state, such as Maringá, for example, Londrina, which is very strong in ITCs, Paranaguá, which is one of the largest ports of the country and the largest port in the south of Brazil. So quite interesting also in terms of logistics. These are a few data on the infrastructure of the state of Paraná. So without entering too much detail, so just remember that we have two of the major ports of the country, Paranaguá and Antonina. We have 2,500 kilometers of railroad network, 120,000 kilometers of roads. Important for you guys to know that we have 39 state-run airports. So if you look at the map, right here on your left, you will see that you can go actually to most of the major city of the state by plane. Like you can go from Curitiba to Foz do Iguaçu, Maringá, Londrina, Francisco Beltrão, Pato Branco. So it's really easy for you to travel among the overall state, as the logistic is very well developed. Next here, yes, so I wanted you to mention that for the overall country, for Brazil as a whole, renewable energy, biodiversity, and bioeconomy is very important, it's very relevant. Just to give you one number, 75% of the energy produced in Brazil is 100% renewable energy. So we have very few non-renewable energy, and one of the major architecture of this renewable conception on energy is the power plant of Itaipu. It's actually the major hydro power plant in the world, and we have plenty of power plants actually in the country and the state of Paraná. And the state have been working a lot in terms of research, development, innovation on all kinds of renewable energy, not only the hydro energy but also the biogas, also solar energy, all kinds of energy that makes sense for the 21st century to be more sustainable. I would like to zoom also a few information on the capital city of Paraná, which is called Curitiba. It is known now in the country, in Brazil, as the major smartest city in Brazil. So it is a smart city because it's really oriented to electric mobility, hybrid mobility, a lot of green space. It's very prepared for people to have a good quality of life. And there have been a lot of things going on in terms of improving every day with digital technology, the experience and the quality of life of the citizen. So that's the reason why Curitiba, according to a study that has been performed actually this year, is recognized now as being the smartest city in Brazil. Also important for you guys to know that Paraná has the largest network of state university of the country. We actually have 8 state universities that covers the overall state. And you will have the opportunity, as you will go to Foz do Iguaçu, to get acquainted with UNILA, which is the University of Latin America. So Foz do Iguaçu is interesting also because it's at the frontier actually between Brazil, Argentina, and Paraguay. So it's Latin American University. And also some of the major universities of the country and of the state in the city of Curitiba, which are the Federal University of Paraná and the Technological Federal University of Paraná. Then you have plenty of other universities in the overall state. To go a little deeper on the innovation ecosystem, so we have a very large network of research and development institutes, both public and private. We have more than 30 incubators and accelerators of startups. And it's quite hard for me to choose, among all the assets that we have in the innovation ecosystem, but I've just, mentioned some of them on the right. So TecPar, which is a very large and famous research institute that belongs to the state of Paraná. You will have the opportunity of visiting it. The PTI, the Technological Park of Itaipu, so it's linked to the hydro plants of Itaipu that I've presented before, and it's 100% aimed at the themes such as smart cities, information technology development, renewable energy, biotechnology. There are a lot of things going on at PTI, this technological park. The biopark is quite new in the southwest of Brazil, and it's 100% focused on biotechnology. You will have a presentation of LACTEC this morning. So LACTEC is one of the largest actually research and development institute, private research and development institute in the country. Say Biogas is located at Foz do Iguaçu, so it's very specialized in biocombustible, biogas, bioenergy. We have a large software park in Curitiba, and we have our own Federation of Industry where we do a lot of research and development too. So I've prepared also a few pictures just to give you a glimpse of what you will see during the innovation tour. So I'm going to be quite quick on that, but this is right on your left, a energy lab of LACTEC. Then you can see going to the right, one biotech lab of TechPar. Then you can see going a little more right, the accelerator of startup of the Federation of Industry. Then going on the down part of the slides and going from left to right, you have there the Technopark of the Catholic University of Paraná. You have the Research Institute in Electrochemistry, Nanotechnology, and Batteries of Senai, which is located also in Curitiba. We will have the opportunity of visiting it. And finally, I've taken a picture here also of the Technological Park of Itaipu, where we have a lot of startups being developed on renewables, smart energy, smart cities, smart power plants. Okay, just to finish, I've chosen 4 startups to quickly introduce to you because they are linked to the renewable energy and also to ICTs. So first startup I would like to introduce to you to show a little bit of what is the ecosystem of innovation in the state of Paraná is Metha Energy. So Metha Energy has developed this unique patented system which is able to generate enough energy for 5 houses with only 50 meters of difference of level in a simple river, right? You don't need to have a fall, but just 50 meters of difference of level in a river with that equipment in order to produce enough energy for 5 houses. It's a very interesting startup on renewable energy. Then I have another one which is quite interesting here, which is called Bley Energy. Bley Energy has developed this micro post for biomethane refinery. It's a micro refinery actually, so it's able to produce biogas based on the waste of the big cities or the waste of agribusiness and convert that into biogas which is ready for being used in car as energy, renewable energy. It's a very interesting startup also, what they're able to do on the biotech at least perspective. Got another one here, I just mentioned that before. It's called GoEpic. This startup has developed a lot of systems on augmented and virtual reality in order to improve the quality of processes and also the ability of improving the maintenance of your industrial processes. Then I have a few videos here of Forvens. Forvens is a computer vision and artificial intelligence based startup here in the state of Paraná, which has developed some systems that allow you to test the quality of assets. So here you can see a video where a railroad is being tested with the artificial intelligence motor in order to check what has to be done in order to perform the maintenance of this railroad. And then you have another video here on your right that is able to test with computer vision and artificial intelligence all the quality of the energy transmission in cities. So this is done by Forvens. And then finally, this will be my last slide. I have here a video and also some picture of X9, which has developed the first and unique, I'm going to cut the video because it's too loud, the first and unique exoskeleton in Latin America. So it's a connected exoskeleton. It allows you to lower the charge on your arms, and also it connects you on the cloud actually in order to monitor the behavior of the worker so that you can improve the quality of life of the worker. So this startup is called X9. There are plenty of other information that I've prepared for you guys, and I will let them inside of the slide so that you can read them afterwards. But as I only have 10 minutes, and that's it for my 10 minutes, I would like to thank you again for your attention, and I'm pleased at your disposal if you have any question. Thank you again for the opportunity.
Thank you very much, Felipe. Great presentation. I will pass now the word to Luis Alckmin from LACTEC to explain a little bit about the bioeconomy potential and renewable energy sector and the presentation of LACTEC, one of the institutes that we will visit in the innovation tour.
Hello, everyone. Can you listen to me? Hello,
yes.
Carolina.
Yes. Thank you.
Oh. And okay, is it in the screen?
Yes, it's perfect. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, good morning, everyone. Thank you, Carolina, for the invitation and the opportunity to bring some information about LACTEC. And of course, you are all invited in September to come here and visit all of our facilities. And well, as Carolina mentioned, my name is Luis Alckmin de la Cerda, and I'm the R&D manager of LACTEC. So we will basically work in the energy industry. And well, before I get into the types of projects that we do, I believe it's quite interesting, perhaps, to have a general idea of how we are organized. So as you see here in the slide, and as mentioned by Felipe, we are a private R&D center, and we actually, we started 60 years ago. It was a partnership between the state electric company, Copel, and the Federal University of Paraná. So they started back in the last century building a lab, which was specifically to make studies on the dam renewable hydroelectric energies that was available in the state of Paraná. And so this lab started doing many projects of dams and reservoirs and energy planning. And from that point on, we started growing our network of labs. And well, just by the end of the last century, we became a private company. And since then, growing a lot. Right now, we are about 550 workers. So this number changes a little bit because about 100 of this number are interns and PhD and master students. And well, we are actually composed by about 30 labs, mainly for R&D support, but also they give support to technological services that we provide to the market, and of course as well tests and laboratory tests and analysis for the general market. Our institution is composed by 6 units, and we are actually 5 units here in Curitiba and 1 in Salvador. I'll show in the slide later what exactly we got in these 6 units, but mainly our expertise is spread in these 6 different areas. And well, a general idea of our income revenue is nowadays near 100 million reais, which is about 25 million euros a year, just to give an idea. So, well, research and development is in our DNA, so we started doing that, but also now doing technological services and lab tests. But we have so far executed over 300 projects for many different companies. These are long-term projects, like 2-3 years projects, and of course mainly in Brazil, but we also have done some work abroad, mainly here in South America. And we are in our institution, we got about 150 employees with master's and doctoral degrees, so it gives also an idea of our very strong link we have with the university in order to bring the newest technologies in our research projects. So what we do many different things, but mainly we develop new processes, we develop prototypes, different types of products, and of course, different types of studies. It really depends on much the needs of the client, but between R&D, this is pretty much what we do. And of course, we give support to startups and new companies as well, giving our very broad expertise in engineering fields. We have about 90 ongoing patents processes. It's not really a big number, but considering the way we have our contracts with our clients, it also depends on their intention if they want or not to put that into a process and a patent. So the number is, I would say, quite reasonable. And here in this next slide, okay, this is just a general idea of our evolution in the last 5 years in terms of the revenue, gross revenue. So it was, I would say, a quite expressive growth in the last 5 years, and our expectation is to keep this pace for the next years at least. Well, as I mentioned, we have 6 technological units, and these are their names. So we have Segapar. Segapar is well, the first lab we have. So that's the one, the oldest one. 60 years ago it was founded, and it mainly works with hydraulic power plants and models for these types of studies. It also comprehends environmental studies in very different aspects. Also have a very strong geo-solution and geo-reference solutions area. LAC here in the center of the slide, this is our main electrical lab. The picture Felipe showed in his presentation is actually part of this, inside of this box you see in the picture. So that's the high voltage lab we have. And also there is the chemistry department in this facility, as well as energy market planning and materials studies, mainly dielectrics and polymers. On the right here we have LEME. LEME is our mechanical division. They are very much devoted to mechanical, especially for turbines studies that involves welding and different other technologies, but it also works in the automotive industry. We have a very large and very high-tech lab to study emissions specifically from the automotive industry. And also here on the bottom there is LEME. LEME is our civil engineering unit. It mainly works with technological control of materials that are applied in the hydroelectric power plants, but also working with other types of materials and nanotechnology. SEDE here in the bottom center is exactly our headquarters. We have in this facility our IT unit, as well as our electronics unit, and the user experience unit, which is very much connected to the IT section area. And the newest unit here in Salvador, this is the only part of LACTEC that is not in Paraná state. It's actually in the Bahia state, in the northeast part of the country. And it's a brand new unit, and it's mainly focused on IT, but more specifically cybersecurity and solar panel research and testing. Okay, next slide. I think my computer is a bit slow, but can't see yet. Okay, finally. So these are our, I would say, business segment. As I mentioned, we are mainly in the power industry. We grew in the electrical energy section of this industry, but we also have some, and this is of course is our strongest part of the institution. But we also work in the oil and gas industry, electronics, infrastructure works, and automotive. So we have research and technological services being conducted in all these different industries. And in the next slide, okay, I'm not sure if it's my link or the computer, but all right. So our expertise is pretty much spread out in very different engineering fields. So right from computing, going to chemical, civil, electronic, electrical, environmental, hydraulics, materials, and mechanical engineering mainly. And well, all these expertise fields, we have a lot of employees spread in these areas. And what they do, they actually work with research and development and innovation. So these are the projects where mainly nowadays we have our renewable energy projects involved with. And it's research, basic research, but also applied research. I would say mainly applied research. So where we can test different products, we develop some, but we also test products and their quality, their efficiency, if they are suitable for the Brazilian territory and things like that. So sometimes developing new prototypes. So it's a very diverse activity here in this unit. So technological services are actually the part of the institution with the more mature services, some of them brought from the R&D, which is offered to the market. And that can be, well, many different things, starting from measurements, different types of measurements and monitoring of structures or equipment or grids and things like that. So in different areas, environmental, hydrological, mechanical, civil, and so on. And of course, also some quality assurance testing in different types of projects. So I mentioned we have about 30 labs, and I will give a glimpse of those in the next slide. What are they specifically? And we also have part of the institution here. It's a small part, but also devoted to the specialized training. So we have not only a master's course, a professional master's course to offer specialized training in materials and energy sector, but we also have small and short courses being provided to the market, engineering of different companies. So, as I mentioned, we have many labs. So this is just an idea of what we got. So it ranges from atomic absorption, air quality, geotechnics in the civil structure area, chemical analysis, polymers, welding in the mechanical section, batteries, cable testing, lighting techniques testing, chromatography, material analysis, and engine vehicle tests. There's another slide also with some other units. Well, the first one here, biology and ecotoxicology and water and effluent are the only two we got connected to the environmental part of the institute. And these are brand new labs. They are mainly voted in the work we are performing for the Brazilian government regarding the disaster of Fundão Dam in Minas Gerais. So we are doing the diagnosis of the environmental disaster regarding that, and these labs are very intensely being used for this purpose. So dielectric and compatibility lab, high voltage lab, that's the one Felipe has shown in his slides, concrete and structures, hydraulics, oil analysis, microscopy, metrology, electromagnetic compatibility, user and experience, electronics and IT. So many labs, and all of them giving support to the R&D and technological tests that we perform here in the institute or even in the field. So as research and development and innovation concern, we have many different areas of work. So renewable energy is one of the themes we work a lot here, but we also have energy planning, materials technology, mechanical, cybersecurity, smart grids, electric mobility. This is a very strong area nowadays. Virtual reality systems, integrity, development of new prototypes. So these are very much connected to each other. And when it comes to renewable sources, many of the projects we do in this area actually sometimes involves other research groups, and they are very much all connected inside the institute. So a couple of examples of renewable projects we are working with right now. So we have one ongoing project in Fernando de Noronha Island. It is in the northeast of Brazil. Actually, it is in the north hemisphere of the globe. And this is a very ecological and it's a ecological paradise in Brazil. So there are many environmental issues which have to be attended and be careful with. So this is a very complex project in that sense. And we are doing a renewable project there in terms of microgrids. isolated microgrids, and of course energy storage. So there is a power plant in that island that has been built. We have been part of the checking of that construction from the civil point of view, but then we are also working and mainly working in the energy storage system, where we are evaluating issues which concern the use of these solar panels along with diesel generation as well, and wind power generation. And well, some of the goals we have in this project, for instance, and these actually sometimes can be taken to other types of renewable projects, I can mention here is like studying the performance and reliability of these isolated microgrids. And in this case, it includes different types of generation. So it's a distributed sort of generations. And of course, the battery storage in this case is a very important issue. We also worked in this case, specifying, implementing, and operating this power plant. And we are using for that energy storage system, 2 different types of systems. And so we are applying these 2 types of systems, and we are checking whether which one is more appropriate for this sort of microgrids. And well, in this sense, we are also optimizing a methodology for this type of application. And of course, the reliability of the microgrid is one of the main issues. And it also includes environmental studies like life cycle of equipment and materials, whether we can actually reuse batteries, and of course discarding the materials and equipment whenever it's necessary is also another important point here in this type of work. And of course, when it comes to bring this new technology, and this is very new things here in Brazil, we also need to identify gaps and barriers that we have here in our legal regulation. And that is extremely important, because if we want to scale up these solutions, we have to check that very closely. And sometimes I would say it's necessary to work a lot and changing regulations so we can actually do that. And of course, in this specific case, we also help identifying business models that can be applied effectively for this type of opportunities. So, and there is another type of renewable project also we are working with right now. It's a thermosolar power plant in the state of São Paulo. So I would say that the goals I mentioned before, they pretty much can be taken here for this type of application. Is just a different type of energy production. But when it comes to microgrids and working with other types of generating sources, we have to, I would say we have similar goals, checking whether the technology is appropriate or it can be scaled up and things like that. So this is a very 2 samples, but I could mention many others. And of course, when you come here to LACTEC in September, I will be very glad to show other projects, ongoing projects, and that we are which are also carried out in lab, not only in the field like these 2 big ones I've shown here right now. So LACTEC, as I mentioned, is a private company, so we work in a very aggressive market, but we do have some competitive advantages, I would say, compared to other institutes. And we have a very strong PMO by project unit inside our headquarters, so everything is pretty much very well organized. That gives a lot of security to the clients, and our lab infrastructure is quite strong and broad, and that means that we can do, I would say, almost all the time the work with our labs. Of course, sometimes we have to do partnerships. It's essential, and we are very much open to that. But we are very also much experienced in different types of incentives and policies from the government. We are also frequently checking that to see whether we can apply for grants and fundings. We have shown in the slides that we have a very multidisciplinary staff, all very much interconnected and working together for different types of projects. And this is our last point here. We are an ANPEI unit, which means that, well, this is a special government program, so which make us very connected to the Brazilian industry. And our focus in this sense is embedded electronics. So we develop embedded electronics for the industry, and we have a sort of funding from the government which can make these types of projects more attractive for the industry. So basically can reduce the value of the projects or the costs of the project for the industry. So well, this is pretty much what I could have presented in this 10 minutes. I hope I haven't gone too far, just a little bit, but I'm very happy, very much glad to receive you guys here in Curitiba, in LACTEC, and show you a bit more of our company. Thanks a lot for your attention.
Thank you very much, Luis. This was a very great presentation, and we could see a lot of the potential of LACTEC and what the participants can expect to see when they arrive to Paraná and visit LACTEC. And now I will pass the word to Isolé Cortes Filho to present the ICT sector in Paraná and its potentialities. Thank you very much.
Hello, Carolina. Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Do you hear me?
Yes. Yes. Thank you.
Okay. So let's go to present some things about the ICT sector in Paraná region. So first of all, Brazil is one of the largest or biggest markets in IT in the world. In the last 10 years, or at least more closely in the 5 years from now, Brazil is remaining among the top 10 biggest markets in the world, and also the largest IT market in Latin America, and representing almost 50% of IT region. For you to know, there's a lot of things to go on and to present, so I'm not going deeper on the information, but you have access to my presentation afterwards, and the key objective is showing a potpourri, a little bit of everything, and you can go deeper afterwards. So looking in the Latin America IT market share, the 3 biggest areas is database management systems, ERP solutions, and infrastructure, apps, and middleware. This represents a large part of the Brazil's or Latin America market opportunities. All of them, this graph represents all the areas, one compared to others. Not that specifically one is better or not, but for you to know how the market is operating and how it's in the moment. A little bit of IT market in Brazil, the synthesis. The total domestic market of IT represented more than $12 billion, with average 20 to 30% growth in the last years regarding software. So when we are talking about IT, we are talking about software services and hardware. Software and services responds almost to 50% of the market, and other 50% is hardware. So here you find a little bit of software services and general IT indicators that you can go deeper afterwards. If you look to the Latin America region, we are from 1,800 kilometers from Curitiba, the capital city of Paraná. We can reach most of the capitals of the Mercosur region. And within this radius, we can reach almost 37% of just 37% of the population of these countries, and most of the GDP of these countries. And if we consider Foz do Iguaçu, we project this more or less 500 kilometers west towards the Mercosur and the Latin America region. So this is a very important thing to take in, to take in. Okay, so here, if you consider the IT market in Brazil, it represents almost 1/3 of GDP of Peru, for example. And the net income in the Paraná IT market was almost 1/4 of Nicaragua's GDP. The Parana ICT sectors, an overview, we had more than 8,000 companies in the Paraná state and generating more than 20,000 jobs. And this, for you to know, to have an overview, Curitiba is almost 60 to 70% of everything regarding the ICT environment in Paraná, involving jobs, companies, tech centers, and sectorial intelligence centers, and also incubators and accelerators. Most of these oscillates between 60 and 70% of all of Paraná are in the Curitiba region. And we have 6 main clusters of IT in Paraná represented in this figure. Most of them are in the biggest city centers of the Paraná region, and in the west region, where is Foz do Iguaçu, you will find a more spread cluster in the region. The region is very important considering its indicators and the ability to concentrate and move together. They have a very important development agency congregating 54 cities, and the IT clusters is also spread between 4 main cities as Foz do Iguaçu, Cascavel, and Marechal Cândido Rondon and Toledo. These are the 4 main cities in the region. ICT companies by activity, you see that our ERP solutions and software house dominates the scenario in Paraná, and we are trying to change this, going more specialized solutions, and the areas of application. These areas of application of IT are coincident to some of the most important key areas of the Paraná state economy. And we are trying to focus IT solutions mainly in industry, agri-food, city and energy, mostly in the smart side of in the direction of the smart everything. So for you to give a look, this is the market potential. comparing the actual level of development and the estimated growth rate. And we have agrotech and smart management among the most important areas that we have. And we are trying an approach of nexus and post-nexus of forces, considering Gartner methodologies and their view. So we are trying to transpose the nexus to digital business and targeting digital business and digital transformation, or better, we're trying digital business in digital transformation. And this resumes some things that we have and we are targeting. We can go much deeper than this, but not for these 10 minutes. So we have 3 kinds of areas of actions to be considering: cross actions to develop the ICT sector, actions for developing specific capabilities, and action for building new value chains. I guess the 2 and 3, the key areas of actions, the specific capabilities and new value chains, are the most important for us, and that we can and are interested in developing connections and new joint opportunities. This set of actions targets the cross-section between IT functions on the left side. So I'm sorry, but this I had several difficulties to deal with this graph and was not able to put this in English, but I can provide this afterwards with more time. And key areas of application. These are marketing and branding, logistics, industry, security, agro and agri-food, health, government, city, energy, and education. And these cross sections bring us some technology families. For example, remote management that can be targeted in security, industry, and logistics, observing management of smart processes and support to automation and support to workforce. So, and to foster knowledge adoption and development of technologies, the key themes are represented here. Data acquisition, data recognition, data processing, and networks and wireless actuators and robotics, and user interaction. Inside of each of these, we pointed some of the key technologies that we are interested to go deeper and develop projects and opportunities. And this is some of the things that are needed to build new value chains. And these new value chains don't need to be solely or only in Paraná. We're interested to foster and to bring some partners and to develop some new value chains, new products, new solutions to go international. Building international partners to create something new that we can go more, that we can go together with more strength in the international market. And this graph represents some of the technologies regarding the maturity level, and so that's it. And this resumes what I've mentioned to you. It's not necessary to have the full value chain in Paraná, but we can go together developing some solutions. We have several data references for Paraná, and this is the result of work that is being developed between the ICT Companies Association with the Federal University of Paraná, and we created a product that's been on the market for the next 16 to 17 months. We started with insight report, a monthly insight report, and now we have 2 monthly basis insights report that are presented, and some of these numbers goes and presents you interesting things in the ICT sectors. For example, we are very interesting, and we have very important numbers in the Brazilian scenario for the electrical systems in the smart grid activities and the agri-food industries applications. And we are very competitive and interested in building strategic partnerships, and we are very resilient. And in the last years, at least in the last 10 years, we are growing and are among the top 3 to 5 most consistent and constant persistent Brazilian states in this scenario. So very quickly and briefly, it's a short profile, and I remain at your disposition. And what you need in the ICT sectors, contacts information, we can go and help you. So that's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Zole. Very great overview of the whole ICT sector in Paraná, which is one of the most prominent sectors in the state, and also one of the most successful sectors in Brazil. So thank you very much once again for this great presentation. So now I would like to pass the word very briefly to Felipe Casapo to talk a little bit about the ANPEI conference that will be held in September in Foz do Iguaçu, and it will be part of the tour. And also after that, I will briefly present the whole program of the tour, and that's it for today. Thank you very much, Felipe.
Hello again, thank you. So I'm going to be brief, yes, because we are a bit behind schedule. So a few words about the ANPEI conference, the national conference of ANPEI. As it has been said before, it's part of the innovation tour as a whole. Important for you guys to know a bit about what is ANPEI, this association. This is actually, to make it short, the largest multi-sectorial and independent association of all the practitioners of innovation in Brazil. So everybody who has something to do with innovation, research center, universities, startups, companies, investors, policymakers, all of them are part of this big association, which is kind of a big think tank in order to improve the ecosystem of innovation in the country. To let you know a bit of that on a few numbers, these are a few numbers of what is ANPEI. So it represents, just to give one number, 60% of all the private investment in research, development, innovation in Brazil. So it means that the associated institutions to ANPEI do represent 60% of everything which happens in the country in terms of private investment for research, development, and innovation. So the conference will be handled during the innovation tour. Now, together with the innovation tour, it will be on the 25th to 27th of September at Foz do Iguaçu. So I've already presented a little bit Foz do Iguaçu, but just remember it is at the frontier of the three countries, Brazil, Argentina, and Paraguay. This is the home place for the Iguaçu Falls, also for Itaipu power plant. We have plenty of good startup there. We have also a great focus on renewable energy with the so-called Biogas that I've mentioned before, that works on the research development on biogas. So what is the ANPEI conference in 2019? It will be a big meeting of more than, we think, 1,500 entrepreneurs, business owners, researchers, policymakers that will discuss a little bit what's going on in Brazil, in the rest of the world in terms of innovation. And I've put right there a few pictures of the last edition, the 2018 edition of the ANPEI conference, just to give you a short or very simple idea of what's the climate, what happens at the ANPEI conference. So this is a little bit of the history of participation to the conference. So this conference has been existing for 19 years now, and during the last 9 to 10 years, we are every year more than 1,500 participants or more than 1,000 participants to this conference. It rolls everywhere in Brazil. It has been already performed in Fortaleza, Joinville, Sao Paulo, Recife, and so in 2019 it will be in Foz do Iguaçu. Here is a little bit of the profile of the attendancy of the attendees, right? So we have 41% of the participants of the conference which are company, 27% from government, agency, policymakers, 60% are from Institute of Research, Development, and Innovation, 40% of consulting services and startup, and then 2% of entities that represent non-profit, basically entities. One more picture on the 2018 edition. This was one of the keynote speakers of the 2018 edition. Hitendra Patel is from India, and he's the CEO of the IXL Center for Innovation. And he made a brilliant speech on frugal innovation, what's going on in terms of digital transformation, and what are the challenge for sustainability and transformation in the 21st century. The theme of the 2019 conference will be Innovation X.0, with the idea of discussing a little more what are the next revolution that will transform society and market through innovation. And with this big idea of innovation is accelerating, right? The innovation process are accelerating, technology are accelerating in the world. So how do we innovate the process of innovation? Not only in order to make that innovation happen more efficiently, more quickly, with more competitiveness, but also to re-evolute the markets and the business models in order to make the world more sustainable. These are the subtopics which will be presented during the conference: innovation in business model, technological innovation, innovation for social and environment impact, and innovation ecosystems. And these are the keynote speakers that are confirmed right now for the conference. So we'll have Ben Ross-Schneider from Ford International, Professor of Political Science, Director, MIT Brazil Program. We'll have Patrick van der Pilge, who is the CEO of Business Model Incorporation. Benjamin Ride, who is the head of International Innovation Development Programs at Nesta. And John Banovets, which is the Senior Vice President for Research and Development and Chief Technology Officer at 3M. These are four of the main keynote speakers which are confirmed. So you already know that altogether with the conference, there will be the innovation tour. You will see Itaipu, you will see LACTEC, TechPar, the Federation of Industry. This has already mentioned before. And on my side, that's basically it. Once again, thank you for the opportunity. If you have any question, I'm here to answer.
Thank you very much, Felipe. And now, finally, I will briefly go through the program of the innovation tour, the whole program, and further details to you. So accordingly to what you were seeing here. The tour will start on Monday, and then the arrival will be on Curitiba, the main city, the capital city of Paraná. We'll have at 9 a welcome and introduction section. Then we'll have a workshop and roundtable discussion in 2 parts at the headquarters of FIEP, as Felipe has shown you. The first stream will be the state-of-the-art in Brazil in the area of biotech, renewable energy, and technology applied to these sectors. The second stream of this workshop will be on funding and investments. Then we'll have a lunch break and a tour inside the Industry Federation of Paraná and their quite impressive structure. After lunch, we'll continue with the workshop and roundtable discussions with the third stream of the workshop, which is about setting up a business in Brazil. We'll talk about legal incentives, programs, taxes, everything you need to know if you are willing to bring your business to Brazil. We'll also talk about opportunities of soft landing and the possible partnerships you can do in joining the tour. Then at 2:30 we'll talk about we'll have an industry visit at TechPar, that is a technology institute in the state of Paraná. TechPar works in key areas such as technological development and innovation, innovative and technological entrepreneurship, education, health tech industry. But not only, they work also in the bioeconomy sector, and they have a very interesting also structure and partnerships that they can provide to you. Finally, to close this first busy day in Paraná, we'll have a welcome drinks and networking session with representatives of industries, companies, startups, incubators in Paraná, just for a starting informal networking. After that, on Tuesday, there will be the institutional visit to LACTEC, the institute that you have heard today about. And during the afternoon, we will organize a matchmaking session at also the headquarters of FIEP. This matchmaking session will be composed of many startups, accelerations, thematic, and also the organizations in the theme areas that we have been talking today: bioeconomy, biotechnology, renewable energies. Very focused. We will close to the date organize quite closely and targeted to each of the participants' needs and specific areas. We'll find specific partners where they can meet in this matchmaking session in Paraná, according to their interests. During the night, in the same day, we'll have a flight to Foz do Iguaçu, where you will, during the Wednesday, you will visit the Itaipu, the hydroelectric power plant, and also you will visit the technological park of Itaipu, that is this structure associated to the hydroelectric power plant. During the night and on the Wednesday, we'll have this matchmaking tour dinner with the participants and also invited companies and representatives of the region of Foz do Iguaçu. Finally, on Thursday and Friday, we have the ANPEI conference. These 2 days will be very interesting. You will have the opportunity to be connected with high-level entities and representatives in Brazil. As Felipe mentioned about the conference, I don't have much to add on that. Just to mention that on Thursday, the full day will be at the conference, and on Friday, we'll have a roundtable about research and innovation funding in Brazil at 2 p.m. We'll have this specific session inside the conference that is organized by ENRICH in Brazil. We'll have participants invited to that session, as well as the innovation tour participants. At 4 p.m. we'll have the closing session, the wrap-up of the innovation tour, the final remarks, just a conclusion of all of this week represents to the participants. So just to finalize, you have in this slide all the practical information about the tour as well. Why you should join, the focus topics, where and when, the price, just to mention, it's 180 euros per participant. This price includes the ANPEI conference ticket, all the tours, all the visits, although this does not include the airline tickets and accommodation, travel insurance, and the internal flight from Paraná and Foz do Iguaçu. So we, as soon as we receive the application, we can guide you through choosing the best options of flights, the best option of hotels, so that we can have the aligned all the package, and you can count on us to advise on that. Okay, so once again, from the 55 to 57 of from the 53 to the 57 of September, we will hold the tour. Save your spot. We have this registration link here. We will send you all the presentations of the webinar today. We'll send also the video, the link of the video of the presentations in our website. You'll receive a follow-up email. So we thank you very much for all your attention. Are there any questions that you would like to ask us now? Otherwise, we can keep in touch with you by email, and we can also organize one-to-one conference calls to talk more about the tour to you. No? Okay. So thank you very much for your participation, and we hope to see you in Paraná in September and to hear from you after that. Thank you very much. Thank you to all the speakers that are here and have so kindly presented the state of Paraná to us. Thank you all.
Thank you.